Now, as an income investor that's always looking for high quality covered call style ETFs that offer a lot more yield from day one, names like JEPQ, names like QYLD, JEPI, names like SPYI, or many others you can find in my portfolio. These ETFs have not only been helpful in diversifying my long-term portfolio, but also obviously very helpful in raising my total yearly and total monthly dividend goals because of course they pay so much more income compared to the general markets. Now, even though I'm a huge fan of a lot of the common ones you see across YouTube, Twitter, or just across the dividend or income investing space, there's a single ETF that's relatively new that I'm very focused on buying a ton of throughout 2025, and I wanted to make an entire video explaining why. Now, this ETF is not JEPQ, it's not JEPI, and maybe it's an ETF that you actually haven't even came across. So if you want to dig into this income focused ETF with me, make sure to stick around, drop a link down below, and let's get right into it. If you are a dividend investor who wants to level up your portfolio, you need to be tracking your dividend income consistently. And that's why I created the perfect dividend tracker that I've used to scale my dividend income up to all-time highs over the last year. Now, along with this dividend tracker, you're also going to receive my A to Z dividend investing ebook, which shows you how I personally started from $0 several years ago to now where I earn over $7,500 per month in dividends. So if you want this tracker and the ebook, go to the first link down below in my description and grab it today. So maybe some of you guys already guessed which one I'm talking about, but the ETF that I'm very focused on building out a long-term position in, and the ETF that I'm just generally a huge fan of so far, is the Goldman Sachs NASDAQ 100 Core Premium Income ETF, or ticker symbol GPIQ. Now, real quick, if you guys already hold this one in your portfolio, comment down below me just so I can get a read in the community. But there's a few specific reasons I'm a huge fan of this ETF and reasons I'm going to be building out a large position in GPIQ moving forward in 2025 and probably even beyond. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to ever buy any more JEPQ or the other high quality premium income ETFs, but GPIQ is very high up on my list as of right now. Now, it says right here in overview, objective, seeks current income while maintaining prospects for capital appreciation. Now, this basically means that this ETF's objective is going to be providing investors with current income, but also hopefully have some upside on top of that. Now, that's very important to me, especially because I'm only 32 years old. I am very focused on income oriented investments, but I also want to at least see some sort of upside, if not even just a few percentages per year. Now, it then says reasons to consider investing into GPIQ. It says seeks consistent monthly distributions. This ETF aims to generate a consistent monthly distribution rate, generally from option premium and also equity dividends. Number 2, core equity exposure with lower volatility, provides core equity exposure to the NASDAQ 100 index and dynamically sells call options, allowing for participation with rising markets and potential outperformance in negative to flat markets. Now, to dig into this a little bit more, for me personally, I do want more exposure to the NASDAQ 100 index, but I want more exposure in my portfolio, not just to the bare NASDAQ 100, but I want it in an option product just like this one. Now, I like the NASDAQ 100 because it generally offers a much higher beta than other investments in my portfolio, but with the option overlay like this ETF deploys, it's going to sort of calm down the exposure and even potentially help things during negative or flat markets. Now, also one of my other favorite things about GPIQ specifically is that this ETF dynamically sells call options. And just like Kevin Sean said inside this article on Seeking Alpha, GPIQ better at capturing NASDAQ 100 upside, he explained that the GPIQ fund is a fund that holds the constituents of the NASDAQ 100 while selling QQQ call options on 25 to 75% of its portfolio, depending on market conditions. Now, the reason I like the fact that this ETF only sells maybe 25 to 75% of call options on the portfolio means that part of the portfolio is also going to have some potential for some massive upside. So because the fact that this ETF's management is not necessarily going to slap on a out of the money cover call option for the entire month and let it ride, it's going to be dynamic. It's sometimes going to be more, sometimes going to be less, which in my opinion makes this fund even more impressive, and in my opinion is going to allow this fund to outperform some of its peers like JEPQ or even like QQQI. Now, lastly, it says diversifying source of income, seeks to deliver attractive income with a lower correlation to traditional income sources and their risks. Now, although this video is not to be a comparison directly to JEPQ, although these ETFs do have a lot in common, the gross expense ratios for both of them is 0.35%, which again, I think is a very good value considering the strategy you're getting exposure to. Now, before I go through and share with you the sort of income GPIQ has produced since inception, and I promise you it's very impressive, this ETF has also grown substantially over time, just like the strategy sort of calls for. Now, because the underlying NASDAQ 100 obviously has done pretty well since October 23rd, so has GPIQ. This ETF is up almost 29% as far as price return goes, and in my opinion, that's very impressive, especially for an ETF with premium income ETF in its name. This ETF, as of right now, at least seems like sort of the dream for an investor like myself that's relatively young and wants to portfolio to grow over time, but also has an affinity for income producing assets, even if we're a little bit younger. Because although I'm not necessarily ready to retire today or tomorrow, I do want my portfolio to get to the point ASAP to where it can retire me and allow me extra income to help out family and friends, etc. Now, we looked at the performance of GPIQ, which obviously is pretty impressive, but looking at the income numbers is even more impressive. We're talking almost a 10% yield trailing 12 months with a very steady, maybe 39-cent payouts upwards to maybe 42 or 41 cents, 43-cent payouts. Anywhere sort of around 40 cents is what we're sort of expecting every single month. At least that's what we've seen over the last year or so. Now, I can't speak for every single investor out there, but even if GPIQ paid me around a 10% yield every single year that I owned it, let's say, did so tax efficiently, and maybe even grew at a 1% to 5% to 10% per year, I personally, as a more risk-averse conservative investor, would be pretty happy with that. But the fact that this ETF is growing like crazy because of underlying strategy, and of course due to the current market conditions, which I know can change, a lot of these ETFs like these ones have only been around during a time frame where the market hasn't really been super stress test as of yet. But so far, this ETF has shown that the strategy that offers income potential, consistent income potential that is, and upside also because of the dynamic call selling. This ETF not only has offered massive distributions, but also massive total return and growth of the ETF consistently. Now, lastly, looking into the income that GPIQ provides investors, or at least has provided investors consistently since inception, if we're looking at an average of around 40 cents per share per month for every single share of GPIQ that you own. This means that with a $10,000 investment into GPIQ, which is currently trading just below $50 per share, you could grab yourself 200 shares, which once again pay on average around 40 cents per share per month, or around $80 in income moving forward. Now, that's not only a substantial amount of income for the example of $10,000 invested, but also with the upside potential and the overall strategy that you're receiving when buying into GPIQ. It's just more and more of a reason on why I love this ETF so much. So with this ETF, not only is there the potential for you to build up a high income producing position long-term in your portfolio that pays a consistent amount of income at least somewhat every single month, but also as long as the underlying index and NASDAQ 100 continues to comply and keep going up and or even sideways moving forward, there could be some massive upside as well. So what's my plan moving forward in 2025? Like I sort of mentioned earlier, and like you guys see in the title of the video, this is going to be my main target to build out a larger position ongoingly, consistently, because again, it offers almost exactly what my overall investing strategy is. It offers income, it offers growth, it offers lower volatility depending on what's happening in the market, and even offers the potential for income in a flat market. So for all those reasons and more, GPIQ is going to be my main income producing asset, or of course just one of the main ones, and I'm going to be building out a position in 2025, and like I said, maybe even beyond. So now that we talked about ticker symbol GPIQ, the Goldman Sachs NASDAQ 100 Core Premium Income ETF, I share with you guys how the ETF works, what the performance of the ETF has been so far, and basically why I'm so obsessed with it. I want to hear from you guys down below. In your opinion, is this a contender for one of the best, more income-focused, premium income-focused ETFs across the market as of right now, in your opinion? Or if not, what other one should I look into? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.